My name's Gavan. I'm the current president of Camberwell Pompey Elliott RSL. I joined Tramways East Melbourne RSL in about 2011 at the instigation of my brother and progressed through various committee roles until we merged with Camberwell City RSL, and I became the president after Jeff Kennett retired. Hard act to follow. Oh, it means a hell of a lot. If I could take you back in time, my brother Jerry, who's also a member of Camberwell Pompey Elliott RSL, is a Vietnam vet. He was in many battles, in particularly Balmoral, Coral Balmoral. He was in Coral with the treasurer, and he was a member of the RSL after many years, because when he came home from Vietnam, he went to the local RSL, which was Caulfield RSL, because we lived in Caulfield, and he walked in the door and he was called a baby killer by the World War II vets. So he turned on his heel with his mate and left, and didn't go to any RSLs for about 30 years. I didn't march because of what happened to him. Mum and Dad never saw him march, and it really burnt into my memory how he was treated, and I vowed and declared that if I joined the RSL I would treat people properly, which is how the current Vietnam vets, many of whom who really got shameful things said to them, who make sure that new vets are treated properly, and I'm only too happy to assist in that area. When World War I veterans came home, they formed the many RSLs around Australia, and they ruled the roost, fair enough. When World War II veterans came home, the World War I veterans got stuck into them, saying that they don't know what a war is, you know, it's completely hard, you know, we did it really hard, you did it really soft. So when the Vietnam veterans came home, the World War II vets did to them what was done to them when they arrived home. So it's, I'll never forget it, never forget it. Well, I was a policeman in Victoria for 29 years and reached the rank of Detective Inspector. My last job was at the Piranha Task Force doing all the underworld murders, which we were very successful in solving. And I was completely burnt out from 5 years of unrelenting pressure and stress. And I got a contact rang me and asked me if I'd like to join the Australian Federal Police, and it's called International Deployment Group, which meant you work overseas, which attracted me because I wanted to follow in my brother's footsteps. So I took up their offer. Once I'd gone through some initial training, which was very mild, I was deployed for a year in the Solomons, and then pulled out of the Solomons and sent to Afghanistan. And I did 2 tours there. The first year was in Kabul, and then the second year I went back as the commander of the contingent, and I was based primarily at Tarankout, which is the main Australian base over there with the ADF. So I got to know all the ADF people. Because of that service of being in the Solomons and being in Afghanistan for 2 years, I was eligible to become what's called a service member of the RSL, which I'm glad that I am. I don't like being called a veteran. I believe that veterans are the soldiers that go out the front line and get shot at, etc. So I refer to myself as a retired police officer who served overseas, but the members all call me a vet and get a bit mad with me when I say don't. The reason we need emergency services in the RSLs is a few reasons, but our demographic is getting old. We're facing losing people in the next 10 years or so. We need younger members. The obvious people to come in are emergency services people, police, fire, ambos, SES, and if I'm probably forgetting some others. What it's like in policing, and I can only really talk about policing, is you do an awful lot for the community. You take many, many, many risks. You face some really serious dangers, and most of it's just the public wouldn't have a clue that you do it. The only people that know that you do all this stuff are fellow police, or sometimes ambos that you might go and help or whatever. So to my way of thinking, in many cases, police officers do far more dangerous things than some people who get deployed overseas. And I'm not knocking them if they're an electrician. You need them. And you need all those support services, but you really need police all the time, and particularly now with the machetes, etc., etc. So if we can get them on board and we can help them, because many of them suffer from PTSD, undiagnosed, and I feel that by getting them into our group and getting them into, well, not just our group, other groups, and getting them to open up, all of a sudden the whole series of people that can be used by them to help them in dealing with the various stresses that they have is really important. They don't really know we can do that, and until we get them in, they won't be helped. Because I could tell you, once you're in policing, if you've got some issues, you very rarely tell people because you're afraid that they'll make you non-operational. In other words, you won't be able to go out on the road, or you might get sent to the doctor. So it's a lot that's swept under the carpet. We can help. It's a brotherhood, and they don't like telling other people unless the person that told them gives them that authority to say, yes, I need help, and can you please contact someone? So as for suicides, yes, we've had plenty of them here in the stations and outside the stations. It's the guns are an easy way of killing yourself because they can access a gun. That's been made a lot harder now. We are different to New South Wales in that you can't take a gun home and all this sort of stuff. So we're finding that they're using other means. What prompts them to do it is a multitude of things. It's not just policing. It can be breakups, it can be all sorts of past family issues, and when you dig deep into it, policing certainly would be the number one, but not the only issue, and everyone's different. I can tell you that we had, when I say we, I'm talking about Victoria Police, had two members murdered up at Port Punya. I always got that wrong. And the offender is known, it's on videotape, and they can't find him. And that causes stress to the whole police force and all the retired police who know exactly what's going on, because I've been through where one of my mates got murdered, Gary Silk. So you know, you just got to deal with it, and many people deal with it in different ways. And sometimes when someone kills themselves, there is no lead up. No one has a clue that it's going to happen, or that he's a bit depressed or she's a bit depressed, whatever. So I hope that's answered the question. How can the RSL help? Well, people like me, and if there's more emergency services in the RSL, we can talk to people and say, I've been there, done that, I know what you're going through. And as an example, there's a Ward 17 out at the Repat Hospital. I was a volunteer there for 3.5 years, and there's a 22-bed ward for PTSD. On average, there'd be 5 or 6 police in there, as well as ADF. And so I primarily dealt with them and hooked them up into various help services, etc., etc., etc. On some occasions, we got them dogs, and some occasions we just talk to them and they were better. I walked in there one day and one of my Piranha people was there, and I thought, ooh, So I had to go over and talk to him, and I asked him, is this because of Piranha? And he said, no, he was promoted to sergeant, he was at Dandenong, and he tried to intercept a guy for an armed robbery, got out of the car and the guy reversed over him. So, he has continuing nightmares, so I talked to him. I helped him, not about everything, but talking to people like that is a powerful thing. And when you talk from a position of, yeah, I've done that, they respect that, they like that. They don't like talking to someone who hasn't got a clue. They'll say they have, but they haven't. The RSL's helped me personally by giving me something to do in my retirement that's meaningful. Policing is very meaningful, but helping people in the RSL, you get a lot of sense of gratitude, not just from the people, but from yourself. And when our welfare officer recently, his wife passed away after got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and passed away. Lovely bloke. I did 2 roles. I did the welfare and president's role, and I found that quite rewarding, keeping up with people, etc., etc. And I'll give you one example. Recently we purchased a dog for one of our members. Joe, his wife died and she'd been in care, and his dog died on the same day. So one of our members, who's a fantastic bloke, John Gosling, who's worked for Guide Dogs Australia for 50 years, he arranged for us to get a dog that had been trained to about 90% but couldn't get on a tram or a train, and they need to. So he was available, this black Labrador, and we purchased it because you've got to pay Guide Dogs because it's a highly trained dog, and gave it to Joe, and he just loves this dog, and he brings it to meetings, and he renamed it Pompey. So there's about 30 people in the room all ready to cry. So when that type of thing happens, it's great, In relation to the Pompey Elliott RSL, there is a motto that we've adopted that he used in World War I. He said, "No man left behind." And we've changed it to "No one left behind." And we live by that, and we remember it every time we go in there into that building and you see it on the wall. Now that includes all emergency services, police, ambos, SES, all the others, life-saving, etc., that see the most awful things and have to do all the things that the public never see and they never talk about. And I personally think that, and I'm sure the members would think, that getting those type of people into our RSL and other RSLs would benefit them and benefit us when we die, that they can carry on the tradition and carry on the good work, hopefully, that we've done in the interim, so that they have a better life and the RSL forges ahead.